Floods are the most frequent type of natural disaster and occur when an overflow of water submerges land that is usually dry. Floods are often caused by a heavy rainfall, a storm surge from a tropical cyclone, or a tsunami in coastal areas.
Floods can cause widespread devastation, resulting in loss of life and damages to personal property and critical public health infrastructures. Between 1998 to 2017, floods affected more than 2 billion people worldwide, and people who live in floodplains or non-resistant buildings or lack of warning system and awareness to flooding hazard are most vulnerable to floods.
Flooding is normally caused by natural weather events. First, heavy rainfall and thunderstorms over a short period of time. Second, prolonged, extensive rainfall. Third, high tide combined with stormy conditions.
Floods are unpredictable and destructive, and they can happen in regions that have never seen rain. It can cause death and injuries, isolate communities, damage major infrastructures, cut essential services, and damages property and livelihoods.
Before a flood. Number 1, know your flood risk. Number 2, make a flood emergency plan. Build or restock your emergency preparedness kit, including a flashlight, batteries, cash, and first aid supplies. Know where to go and how to get there if you need to get to a higher ground, the highest level of a building, or to evacuate.
During a flood, number 1, stay tuned to radio, TV, or the internet for weather updates, emergency instructions, and evacuation orders. Number 2, if time permits, move furniture and other items to upper floors. Number 3, be prepared to evacuate if instructed to do so. In case of flash flooding, do not wait for instructions. Move immediately to higher grounds. Number 4, do not move through moving waters if at all possible. Use a stake to ensure that the ground is firm. Number 5, do not drive in flooded areas. Vehicles can quickly be swept away. Number 6, avoid downed power lines.
After flood, return home only if the authorities say it is safe. Second, clean and disinfect anything that has contact in the flood water.
Number 3, be aware of areas where floodwaters have receded and watch out for debris. Floodwaters often erode roads and walkways. Number 4, do not attempt to drive through areas that are still flooded.
The goal of disaster preparedness is to lessen the impact of disasters on vulnerable populations, to ready an organization for an influx activity, and to design a coordinated plan that reduces the waste of resources, time, and efforts.
Fire. Fire is one of the most dangerous and disastrous events that could ever happen. Every year, thousands of lives are affected. Some people lost their lives and get seriously injured due to fire-related hazards. It can happen anywhere at any time. It is deadly. It can take away lives, valuable assets, and properties. So here, the question is, how does fire start? So this requires 3 elements. First is ignition. Next is source of fuel. And lastly, a source of oxygen. Whenever these 3 elements are present, there is a great possibility that fire may occur. So mostly, fire happen in residential areas, caused by negligence and clumsiness, such as faulty appliances and leaks, faulty fuel supply, misuse of equipment or appliances, and placing things too close to heat.
To prevent fire, sources of ignition, fuel, and oxygen need to kept apart as much as possible. Obviously, this is difficult for oxygen that is in the air all around us, but it's important always to think carefully about what are the possible sources of ignition in your area or building, as well as thinking about what will allow a fire to spread once it has been ignited. In this time, we're going to talk about the 7 tips on how to prevent fire in our respective home. So the first tip is never leave a warm or hot iron unattended. The second is never leave food on a stove or in an oven unattended. The third one is never disable or remove the battery from a smoke alarm. The fourth one is burning candles should never be left unattended. Fifth one is store gasoline, newspaper, and other combustibles away from sources of flame. The sixth is keep space heaters on a level surface from fabric and other flammable items. The last one is avoid plugging multiple appliances into an extension cord.
What to do before a fire? First, install smoke alarms. Second, review escape route. Third, establish a family emergency communication plan. Fourth, practice escaping from your home at least twice a year. Fifth, make sure that everyone knows the emergency hotline. And lastly, teach household to stop, drop, cover your face, and roll if their clothes should catch on fire.
So what are we going to do during the fire? So the first thing that we have to do is to know how to operate the fire extinguisher. Second is to remember to get out, stay out, and call your local emergency phone numbers. The third one is to yell fire several times and go outside right away. The fourth one is to leave all your things where they are and save yourself. The fifth one is if closed doors or handles are warm or smoke blocks your primary escape route, use your second way out. Never open the doors that are warm to the touch. Sixth is if you must escape through smoke, get low and go under the smoke to your exit. Close doors behind you. 7 is if smoke, heat, or flames block your exit route, stay in the room with doors closed. Place a wet towel under the door and call the fire department. Open the door window and wave a brightly colored cloth or flashlight to signal for help. And the last one is once you are outside, go to your meeting place and then send one person to call the fire department. If you cannot get to your meeting place, follow your family emergency communication plan.
What to do after a fire? First, ask or give first aid where needed. Second, let friends and family knows you are safe. Third, people and animals that are seriously injured or burned should be transported to professional medical or veterinary help immediately. And fourth, stay out of fire-damaged homes until local fire authorities say it is safe to re-enter.
Fire disaster can happen anytime and in any place. Hence, these unwanted and unforeseen circumstances could be suffice the needs of it if we are prepared. Preparation means keeping yourself aware on what are the possibilities when this fire strike. So I want you to remember this. You are safe when you are prepared. Preparation means knowing what are the things that you're going to do before, during, and after fire. Hence, everyone, let's make ourselves prepared and be empowered. Thank you.
The series Natural Phenomena takes you to an unknown world of natural forces. From natural disasters such as earthquakes and volcanic eruptions to spectacles like aurora and mirage, let's dig into the secret of our planet. Damage prevention satellite images allow scientists, meteorological agencies, and emergency units to predict, detect, and monitor a typhoon, leading to improved readiness and emergency response. Different countries have different warning mechanisms for a typhoon. What is a typhoon? A typhoon is a large, powerful, and violent tropical cyclone. It is a low-pressure area rotating counterclockwise and containing rising warm air that forms over warm water in the western Pacific Ocean. Less powerful tropical cyclones are called tropical depression and tropical storms. A typhoon is called a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean, a cyclone in the Indian Ocean, and Willy Willy in Australia. Typhoons can inflict terrible damage due to thunderstorms, violent winds, torrential rain, floods, landslides, large and very big waves associated with storm surges. So there are three classifications of typhoons. First is a tropical depression, maximum winds from 35 kilometers per hour to 63 kilometers per hour. Second, tropical storm, maximum winds from 64 kilometers per hour to 180 kilometers per hour. And lastly, typhoons, maximum winds exceeding 118 kilometers per hour.
The Philippine Islands are prone to all kinds of natural disasters because of its geographical location and physical environment. The country is strategically located in the path of turbulent and destructive cyclones in the Pacific and the Ring of Fire. The situation has adverse effect not only on the lives and properties of the Filipino people, but also on the economy of the nation, as disaster impacts may result in widespread environmental and property damages. Natural disasters may cause danger to people, structures, or economic assets, and may lead to a disaster if they are not mitigated against and prepared for.
To mitigate the adverse effects of a typhoon, we should always be prepared. So what are the things we need to do before the typhoon? Establish and maintain coordination with Barangay Disaster Coordinating Councils or the BDCC. Second, ensure that the building structure can withstand heavy rain and strong winds. Single-level schools built at ground level may be anchored by guy wires to strengthen the stability of the structure. Third, learn about typhoon and other weather disturbances, their signs and warnings, effects and dangers, and how to protect the people, records, and property. Fifth, observe strictly department policies on the suspension of classes or work stoppage and invoke school-based or work-based decisions in coordination with the local government units or the National Disaster Risk Reduction Management Council.
Response during the typhoon. Monitor through radio or other reliable sources the latest official report of Pag-asa on the typhoon. Stay indoors and away from windows. Coordinate with the proper officials on possible immediate evacuation measures, especially if the structure is located on a low-lying area. Remain calm by keeping in tune with the latest developments during a typhoon. Do not panic and remain calm. Pack foods that don't need cooking. Keep flashlights, candles, and battery-powered radios within reach. Examine your houses and repair unstable parts as much as possible. Secure domesticated animals in a safe place.
After the typhoon, be sure that the house or the buildings is safe and stable before you enter. Second, beware of poisonous animals like snakes that may have entered your house. Third, watch out for live wires or outlet immersed in water and report damaged electrical cables and fallen electric posts to authorities.
An earthquake is a sudden and violent shaking of the ground that causes great destruction as a result of movements within the Earth's crust or volcanic action. Earthquake is a term used to describe both sudden slip on a fault and resulting ground shaking and radiated seismic energy caused by the slip or by volcanic or magmatic activity. And it releases energy in the Earth's lithosphere that creates seismic waves. Earthquake can range in size from those that are so weak that they cannot be felt to those violent enough to propel objects and people into the air and wreak destruction across entire cities. There are two ways by which we can measure the strength of an earthquake. We have magnitude and intensity. Magnitude is proportional to the energy released by an earthquake at the focus. Then, the intensity is generally higher near the epicenter. It is represented by Roman numerals.
Earthquake is a harmful devastation that can harm the planet, and we must be prepared. So here are the do's before an earthquake occurs. Prepare. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher, first aid kit, a battery-powered radio, a flashlight, and extra batteries at home. Learn first aid. It is important for us to know the basic principles of applying first aid. Make a plan of where to meet your family after an earthquake. And learn the earthquake plan at your school or workplace. The do's during an earthquake occurs. Aware. Stay calm. If you're indoors, stay inside. If you're outside, stay outside. If you're in a car, stop the car and stay inside until the shaking of the ground stops. Don't use elevators. Instead, use stairs or bar seats. Continually cover your head and neck with your arms to protect yourself from falling debris. Be patient. Wait for further announcements if you are to evacuate the place. The do's after an earthquake occurs. Beware. Check yourself and others for injuries. Provide first aid for anyone who needs it. Stay out of damaged buildings. Stay away from beaches. Tsunamis sometimes hit after the ground has stopped shaking. Don't panic. Stay calm. Wait for further announcements on your place. And stay where you are. Expect aftershocks. Before the quake, be awake. Follow, prepare, aware, and beware, and you will survive.
The big question is, why do volcanoes erupt? A volcano is a mountain that serves as a vent through which molten rock and other gases escape. Many volcanic eruptions are also accompanied by other natural hazards such as earthquakes, landslides, debris flows, flash floods, fires, and tsunamis. Volcanic eruption happen when lava and gas are discharged from a volcanic vent. The most common consequences of these are population movements, as large numbers of people are often forced to flee the moving lava flow. Volcanic eruptions often cause temporary food shortages and volcanic ash landslides called lahar. If you live near a volcano, active or dormant, be prepared to act on a short notice. There are 6 types of volcanic eruption. First, hydrothermal eruption, an eruption driven by the heat in a hydrothermal system, or hydrothermal eruptions pulverize surrounding rocks and can produce ash. Number 2, phreatic eruption, an eruption driven by the heat from magma interacting with the water. The water can be from groundwater, surface runoff, or the sea. Third, phreatogmatic eruption. An eruption resulting from the interaction of new magma or lava within the water can be very explosive. The water can be from groundwater, hydrothermal systems, and the lake. Fourth, Strombolian and Hawaiian eruptions. These are the least violent types of explosive eruptions. Hawaiian eruptions have fire fountains and lava flows, while Strombolian eruptions have explosions causing a shower of lava fragments. Fifth, Vulcanian eruptions are small to moderate explosive eruptions lasting seconds to minutes. And the last, Subplinian and Plinian eruptions. Eruptions with a high rate of magma discharge sustained for minutes to hours. They form a tall, convective eruption column of a mixture and gas of rock.
Volcanic eruption. There are no ways to control volcanic eruption. It's a natural disaster that we people can control it. So the only thing we can do is to prepare ourselves before, during, and after the volcanic eruption. Without further ado, these are the ways to help ourselves safe before, during, and after the volcanic eruption.
Locate the active volcanoes near your place. Pack up your emergency kit. Have a communication device. Be familiarized with the siren sounds. Prepare an emergency plan. Wear protective gear such as goggles, mask, long sleeves, and pants. Listen for an update. Follow evacuation orders. Avoid downstream areas near the volcano. Close the doors and windows. Seek shelters indoors. Stay out of the area defined as a restricted zone by government officials. Effects of a volcanic eruption can be experienced many miles from a volcano. A mad flows and flash flooding, wildland fires, and even deadly hot ash flow can reach you even if you cannot see the volcano during an eruption. Avoid river valleys and low-lying areas. Trying to watch an erupting volcano up close is a deadly idea. Stay away from ashfall areas. Remain geared up against ashfall. Wait for further announcement. Remember to help your neighbors who may require special assistance, infants, elderly people, and people with disabilities.
Before this ends, I would like to share 3 S ways